Today, decided to revisit the Tubi originals. Every once in a while, they'll throw something interesting on their Tubi originals. Tubi, of course, which is the streaming service, ad-based, you don't need to create an account for. It's one of my favorite for, well, because if you're a horror or B-movie fan, there is just almost endless stuff out there to browse through. I've spent hours just browsing, and it feels kind of like adding stuff to the queue, but well, yeah, you can just spend endless amount of time looking for stuff in there, and they're always adding new stuff. But anyways, this movie I almost rented before it was a Tubi original because it came out just like a regular rental. It was like, I think it was at least for like a couple weeks or something like that before they put it on Tubi. But I will say the best thing about this movie by far is Jerry O'Connell as the coroner. He has come a long way from playing Vern in Stand By Me. Uh, he completely changed his appearance, and he married Rebecca Romaine, so he's been very blessed. Anyways, Play Dead is a real different movie for him. This movie is about organ harvesting. There's a brother and sister. The brother gets in trouble. He gets kind of drawn into this robbery. His phone ends up with the dead guy that brought him into the robbery. His sister is trying to keep him out of trouble. The house is about to get foreclosed on. And she decides that she's going to take this drug to slow her heartbeat, sort of like Bill Pullman did in Serpent and the Rainbow style. So they would think that she was an OD victim, basically, on the side of the freeway, and then get into the morgue, and then wake up and get the brother's phone so he doesn't get in trouble. If it sounds like a far-fetched plan, yeah, it comes across. You got to suspend some disbelief for this one. I mean, she's going to time herself, and she's studying like forensic medicine, so she has this medical background as well too. So there's certain things like that make it like a little bit more believable. But the whole idea to like get yourself in somewhere to the coroner's lab and like know exactly the time that you're going to wake up and try and do it when like nobody else is around, and get out of there and get the phone. I mean, hey, I'm going to say that either sounds like something really dumb or that sounds like the greatest sister in the world. So, I mean, man, you got somebody like willing to do something like that for you as a family member. Remember all their birthdays, I will say, and buy them 2 desserts when you take them out for their birthday. Anyways, she soon discovers that, I don't want to give things away, but she soon discovers that things aren't as they seem. The bodies in the morgue aren't as they seem. There's an operation going on, which is an organ harvesting operation that Jerry O'Connell, the coroner, is in on. He's basically kind of like working with the cartel for these organs and selling them to the cartel, which basically sells them to the highest bidder. The sister's uncovered all this stuff. She's got to communicate with her brother. She's got to get out of there without Jerry O'Connell knowing what's going on. And she's going to try and get help, and she's got to get that friggin' phone back too. So she's got a lot on her plate. So this movie, as you may expect, is nothing really different than you've seen in any kind of one of these movies where somebody gets himself in a situation, the cartel's involved, there's shadiness, and you can kind of, I would say you'd probably be, if you're familiar with these kind of movies, you'd be able to figure out what's going on. There's not too many curveballs that are being thrown at you that you haven't seen before. And the majority of it is a cat and mouse kind of thing. Cat and mouse isn't really my thing. I kind of get bored of it in movies because I need something like a side storyline or something else to take me out of just people running around, like the suspense stuff, running around, somebody looking for them, the person trying to be quiet, the person hiding, looking around corners, hearing noises, all that cat and mouse kind of stuff. But there are enough things that communicate with the outside world to break up any kind of staleness that cat and mouse creates. And Jerry O'Connell is really the highlight of this movie. His character that he plays, this super anal retentive coroner, is completely different than anything that I've seen him play before, at least. I mean, this is almost a 180 from any other kind of... Usually he'll kind of play like goofy characters, or a couple times he's played a villain. But this is a very different sort of... this kind of evil, methodical, very intelligent, yet super anal retentive villain. Which I think is fantastic. And he plays it perfectly. Doesn't ham it up or anything. You can tell he's got a little bit a sense of humor, like a little bit of a morbid sense of humor, which of course fits since he's a coroner. But none of it overpowers anything, so it takes you out of the believability of his character. He really strikes the right tone with it. It's great. And Bailey Madison, who's the female protagonist in this, is fantastic. She actually looks a lot like one of my cousins. And she does a great job, very believable. You tell so some of these movies that she's been in before, like Brothers and whatnot. She has a dramatic background that lends itself well to this, elevates the movie. There is this kind of strange thing like with her character. She is super believable until towards the end, where it gets a little cartoonish. But for the majority of it, she's very believable. And her character is very kind of vulnerable. And the things that she does and that she kind of gets away with, where she has to rely more on kind of her brains and her cunning than anything else. She has to revolve more on brains than brawn to get herself out of situations. And it helps that she has that medical background so she can think a couple steps ahead as well, too. So, end of the day, a pretty decent Tubi original. Nothing that you really haven't seen before, but a pretty decent little thriller. I mean, I would watch it just for Jerry O'Connell, and Bailey Madison is pretty fantastic too. So this is definitely one of the better Tubi originals that I've seen. A lot of them that pop up I don't even really want to check out, but yeah, this is one that I kind of jumped to right away. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. And in the future, I'll keep you posted on if I notice any kind of Tubi originals that stand out, then I will definitely bring those up and recommend them. Until next time, when you're planning your funeral, do some background work on the coroner. Couldn't hurt.